Hello lovely people, welcome back to another video. This one's going to be slightly different. So I had the amazing opportunity this summer to host some freelance workshops for Bradford 2025 City of Culture, and it's been hectic, it's been really fun, I've learned a lot, but yeah, this is me prepping for one of my workshops. So this one was at a little festival, so I spent some time preparing the fabrics. These are all sort of scrap fabrics that I have collected from various different places. I go to a local scrap store, and I also get a lot of fabric from friends and family. I just like to reuse wherever I can, and seeing as there's so much fabric out there in the world already, I thought, why not? Let's have a bit more sustainability in what we're making. So this is me just rummaging and getting some smaller sort of bits of fabric that people could use for their designs. And I really didn't have a big idea about what kind of people would be attending, what age ranges, etc. So I just kind of had to make something that I thought would be fun for all ages. So this is me cutting up some of the backgrounds that people could choose from. I usually, when I do a sewing kind of workshop, I'll go in with pre-cut squares so people can make, they just focus on like the design part and the sewing part, and they don't have to worry about getting a background sorted. This is actually scrap felt I use as a background. It's a little bit more sturdy than like your regular fabric, as I'm sure you're all aware, and I just find that this is really useful for this kind of workshop, especially because there were quite a lot of children in the end that came along and had a go at sewing. So yeah, I really recommend using this as a background if you do end up posting something similar yourself. But yeah, I learned a lot from doing these workshops. As I was saying, I didn't know who would be kind of attending these kind of things. Most of the events I ended up doing over the summer did actually turn out to be kind of small village or town celebrations or festivals. Most of them as well have been kind of themed around sustainability, which is really nice. So of course you have to kind of, as a practitioner, make sure that you are doing that in your work. So yeah, definitely recommend sourcing your fabrics secondhand or from scrap shops if you can. I know that there are loads and loads of scrap stores up and down the country now, which is awesome to see. I am very lucky that I have two scrap shops that are kind of within either walking distance or just a short ride on the train or the bus. So yes, definitely do it if you can. My knees were dying after this. I don't really have a great space for cutting fabric at the moment. My desk is tiny and definitely would not fit this, so rip to my knees for now. But anyways, it was only for like 10 minutes, so it's fine. So I actually don't have an iron at my studio currently, so I took the backgrounds home and I decided I'd iron them because there were a few like stubborn wrinkles and it was kind of annoying me. But yeah, I just put some cotton over the top because I wasn't 100% sure if the fabric would just like melt and die as soon as I added the iron to it. So yeah, I wasn't taking any chances, and yeah, it just took me a little while to kind of iron everything out, but I was definitely grateful that I did it. And then it was time to set up on the day. This is my table with all my materials and stuff, and this is the tent that we were in. I had another practitioner alongside me and some others kind of in the surrounding trees doing woodwork workshops. But it was a great day. I ended up teaching a load of kids how to sew for the first time ever, and it was so lovely. It didn't rain, it was cloudy, but it was just a really wholesome day, and I just thought it went really well, and the kids got to take something home with them as well. So all in all, it was a wonderful day. The wind did decide to kind of pick up a little bit, which in hindsight I probably should have planned for, but we're still super busy.
I'm home now after my day of hosting the scrap banner workshop at the festival. I had a fun day. I've got another one in a couple of weeks' time. This works just like freelancing with Bradford 2025, which is really exciting. I'm so glad that I've been able to sort of like use my artistic-y stuff for the City of Culture. So yeah, it's very exciting. I've had a great day, but I'm very tired and I need to rest.
The day after, we went to go get croissants from Gaff at the studio, and I saw my prints were up on display. I've done volunteering with the City of Culture this summer, and this was just one of the shifts at Salts Mill in Saltaire. So my next sort of festival wasn't for a while, so I had some time to prepare. I had an exciting delivery from George Wheel. These are all of my natural dyes from my next workshop, which again was kind of themed around sustainability, so I really wanted to give natural dyes a go. So I bought a lot of stuff and I got experimental. Now not all of the colours worked amazing, and some of them are definitely better than others, so I've learned a lot as well. I tried a couple of different methods as well when I was making it. So some of them I would do this, I would boil it and then I would strain it before adding the Arabic gum, and this is basically the natural preservative that would mean that the inks / dyes would last a bit longer. And with some of the powder ones, I would just kind of do the same thing as well, where I would boil it and then I would strain it into the ink. I did have a go at boiling the bag for some of them as well. This is me just doing a little sample to see how it was going. For those of you interested in doing this at home, I used goldenrod, turmeric, logwood, annatto, madder and indigo with mixed results, but definitely I would recommend doing the mordant. I used alum, which I'll talk about in just a little second, but definitely recommend doing samples, and I stored mine in the fridge the night before.
Now I realised I forgot to show you guys this process of boiling the fabric with a mordant. So I used aluminium potassium sulfate, I think it's called. It's also called alum, I believe. Anyway, I boiled that in a pan for, I think it was about 45 minutes, along with a bit of cream of tartar. So I'm just going to let those dry out before I cut them up into the sort of like shapes and sizes I need. So we've just done some samples with the alum fabrics, and I just thought it was so interesting, like how different the colours look. They're like so much more like vibrant with the alum. Yeah, very excited for tomorrow.
I gave them a little test on the bunting, as they were going to be making some bunting for the workshop, and then the day had arrived and it was time for setup. And this is a little example that I made at home. So as you might have noticed, I had a couple of different activities go on. Everyone could decorate a wooden animal, or they could take part in the natural dyeing sort of workshop. It was pretty busy the whole day, despite it being quite rainy, and I was super impressed with everything that everyone was making, and it was such a nice little experimental workshop, and I'm definitely going to run it again in the future. Just look how cute. And then typical UK, it started really heavily raining. And that is the end of the video. I had a super fun time hosting the workshops. If you are interested in watching more of my content, please feel free to subscribe and check out my other stuff below.